Hi, my name's Geraldine. I'm the Strategy, Policy and Intelligence Manager at Tees Valley Combined Authority. Apologies I can't be at the conference today. I'm actually pre-recording this, but I'm really keen to hear feedback from the conference, and I'm happy for my contact details to be shared and to follow up with people afterwards. So what I wanted to do today was just talk through a little bit about what the Combined Authority is and does, how our priorities fit with the work of the Nature Partnership, and most importantly, how we work with the partnership now and how we will continue to work with the Nature Partnership going forwards. So just a very, very brief overview for those of you who might not be as familiar with the Combined Authority. So the Tees Valley Combined Authority is made up of the constituent local authorities in the area and led by the Tees Valley Mayor, Ben Houchin. It also includes the Tees Valley Local Enterprise Partnership, which is a board of business leaders. So in its entirety, the Combined Authority brings together civic leaders and business leaders to really identify and drive forward an agenda for sustainable economic growth. That's at the heart of what we do. That's our remit. And I've just listed here some of our key strategy documents, which many of you will be familiar with. So we have our strategic economic plan, which sets out our vision to create a high value, low carbon, diverse and inclusive economy for Tees Valley. And then more recently, we've done work on our local industrial strategy, which I know a number of you were involved with the development of both of these strategies. And the local industrial strategy really was the sharp end of the strategic economic plan with regards to increasing productivity. So the focus of the LIS is really around how we can increase productivity. And that in clean energy, low carbon and hydrogen, and to achieve a net zero carbon industrial cluster by 2040. And really importantly, it looks at how we can connect those clean energy opportunities with opportunities for local residents by providing good jobs with long-term prospects that local people can access. And some of the priorities included within those strategies, and this by all means isn't everything, these are the ones that I thought might be most relevant for today, but I've centered it around our clean growth priorities, whereby some of you will be familiar already with the work that we're doing to drive industrial decarbonisation and really set Tees Valley out as an area that's a pioneer for carbon capture, utilisation and storage and the usage of clean energy. Hydrogen, a real opportunity for us. We produce over 50% of the UK's merchant hydrogen, and there are growing market opportunities with regards to the use of hydrogen as a clean energy source. We really want to be at the forefront of that, building the supply chain based around the assets that we have in Tees Valley and looking at how hydrogen can be utilised, for example, within industry, transport, domestic energy. Offshore wind assets, another real opportunity for us, given our location and some of the infrastructure that we have here already, and another area where we're really driving forward in industrial cluster approach, which can see Tees Valley as a lead in this industry. And then at more of a community level, there's work taking place with regards to local energy and also the Green Homes grants, which some of you will be familiar with. Wrapping around that, we've got our place priorities, which are really about establishing our area as somewhere that's recognised as a vibrant and thriving place to be. And that relates to the use of our green spaces, the overall quality of life that's offered in Tees Valley as the result of the assets and things that we have here, for people to be really able to come and enjoy everything we have here and to choose to come here to work, to visit, to study, whatever it may be, but that wider quality of place and quality of life is recognised as something that's really quite special and outstanding in Tees Valley. So part of my role involves developing the evidence base for our strategies and plans, and we produce an annual economic assessment. So that's what we call our core statistical document related to economic development in Tees Valley, and it covers the breadth of economic policy themes related to the economy and productivity. So looking at things like economic conditions, the role of innovation, our business base and key sectors, sort of economic ecosystem, if you like. Skills in the labour market, in terms of levels of attainment, employment, unemployment levels, and future demand. And what I've termed here as growth enablers, so things like connections internally and externally to the region, our wider place and cultural offer. And I've just pulled out some of the areas of that economic assessment, that economic evidence base, which are particularly relevant to the work of the Nature Partnership. And again, this isn't an exhaustive list. It was just a flavour of some of the things that may be on your radar, and you may have data around that could enhance our understanding of the role of these assets. So there's innovation and R&D, and really looking at how that's a driver for clean growth and clean energy solutions. Transport and infrastructure, particularly the role of clean transport, and as we move increasingly towards that, the provision of charging points, for example, for electric vehicles, and the ability to use clean transport within our region, and also the active travel, so looking at how people can use outdoor spaces to move around more. And then place and culture, which is linked more to the overall quality of life and well-being, and the role that natural and cultural assets play within that. Over the last year or so, I think we've recognised that the role of natural assets in terms of their contribution to the economy could be better understood. And so we've been doing some work with Natural England to develop a natural capital account. And this has been a pilot approach that's being developed in Tees Valley, working with Natural England. And it's really about understanding the economic and social value of natural resources in Tees Valley. So natural capital assets, which are very simplistically are the things that persist long term. So it's land and water, so green and blue space. And the natural capital approach has developed a suite of indicators which look at the quantity of these assets, the quality and location of them, and how they come together in an overall ecosystem to contribute economically and socially. And it's things like crop and livestock production, water provision, quality of water, quality of air, and the ability to use natural assets for cultural purposes. So this is work that we've been doing with Natural England, and will reflect in the economic assessment, which we're updating at the moment, and we're due to publish an update of our economic assessment in January 2021. And the next slide just gives it a little bit of a spoiler to that, so it doesn't give the exhaustive findings from the natural capital account, but just gives a sense of some of the things that you can expect to see included within that. So the work of the natural capital account will be reflected in our economic assessment, which is due to be published. We're updating that now, and it'll be published in January 2021. So this next slide just gives a flavour of what you can expect to see in that. So this isn't everything. It's work that we have and we'll be looking at to include in our economic assessment, but just a sense of what you can expect to see in there. And the natural capital account breaks down the benefits into monetized benefits and non-monetized benefits of our natural assets. So as you can see here, the benefits that we're able to quantify in an economic sense are those related to the use of natural assets in contributing to recreational visits, the capital asset value of clean air, fisheries and aquaculture, and also the annual social cost of carbon emissions. And then there are also those non-monetized benefits, the things that we can't put a pound sign against, but nonetheless are really important from an economic and social perspective. And that's the benefits that flow from things like water abstraction, protection of key assets against flood risk, the contribution of natural assets towards physical and mental health, and also other benefits deriving from things like timber, pollination services, and other benefits that people gain from nature. So you can expect to see more on that, and we can share once we've agreed a final account to be published with Natural England. We can share that with people, and that'll be published. So my final slide, I've called working together, and this is really about how we're working together now and how we will work together in future, both in terms of activity that's happening at a local level and some of the national policy agendas and initiatives that are on the horizon that will be relevant for the work of the Combined Authority and the Nature Partnership. So just some of the activity taking place at a local level, I think is, and we already work very closely with Rachel and others in terms of driving forwards our place priorities for Tees Valley. So that's really looking at things like the quality of green space to attract investment, to attract people to want to come and work here, to study here, to visit here, and really enjoy everything that Tees Valley has to offer. We're doing work with the Environment Agency to look at work around flood protection and making sure that our key assets and key sites are protected against flood risk to ensure that they remain economically competitive and viable. And active travel, some of you may be aware, as part of the COVID response, we've accelerated some of our work around increasing active travel. So that's things like walking and cycling routes and enabling people to use outdoor spaces to move around our area. I've just mentioned COVID, I think, for the first time, which is a first for me, because I do feel like it's been all-consuming for a lot of us for some time now. And certainly, as we start to emerge and the economy starts to recover, there's a real opportunity to bed in a green recovery and to build back better and make sure that the developments, the infrastructure developments, and things that we do now lay the foundations for sustainable growth and help to accelerate that transition to achieve the vision and ambitions set out in the strategic economic plan, the local industrial strategy, to ensure that Tees Valley is climate resilient and is moving towards a zero carbon economy. And as I mentioned at the beginning, really important is making sure that local people are connected to those opportunities, so that recovery is focused on supporting the creation of green jobs and low carbon growth from a business perspective. There's then the national policy agenda, and I've just sort of listed a couple of things here that I'm sure both as the Combined Authority and I know the Nature Partnership have got an eye to, and I've spoken to Rachel about in the past and continue to do so. So the Energy White Paper, with expectations that there's going to be support for hydrogen and industrial and domestic approaches to decarbonisation, which is clearly an area where Tees Valley is poised to deliver some real opportunities for us there. So that's something that'll be really important to us going forwards. The Environment Bill, which is passing through Parliament with the environmental targets attached to that, and that's something again where we'll have a shared interest to look at what that means for us and how we address that at the Tees Valley level. And those are conversations which are happening now with the Nature Partnership and will continue to happen into the future as we understand more about what that means for us, particularly in terms of achieving our local ambitions that we have for Tees Valley economy, environment and society. That's the end of my presentation. I've normally said I'll take questions now, but because I'm pre-recording, I can't. But I'm sure there'll be some great discussions taking place over the course of the event. And as I say, I'll be happy to catch up with people afterwards. Thank you.